film opens with a song and dance number as rain pours on in the streets. This movie was actually adapted from a musical. We meet our protagonist, Seymour. He's a bit of a klutz. We overhear on the radio that a mysterious solar eclipse has recently occurred. The other employee, Audrey, greets Seymour as he clumsily shatters some pots. Audrey's a peculiar woman, and by the looks of her black eye, has a jerk of a boyfriend. We're treated to a musical montage of Skid Row, the ghetto where their shop resides. It's, charming, to say the least. It's a hard knock life for little old Seymour. Despite his best efforts, it seems there's no way out for him, or anyone else for that matter. Business is awfully slow, and Mr. Mushnick, the shop owner, decides that the juice just ain't worth the squeeze anymore. He tells Seymour and Audrey to not even bother coming in tomorrow, but they both beg him to reconsider. Seymour suggests taking the shop in a new direction, and Audrey elaborates that Seymour has been working on some very unusual plants that could garner a lot of attention. Seymour shows off a new plant he found, some sort of fly trap, but one he couldn't identify in his numerous books. He christens it Audrey 2. Geez, alright. Mr. Mushnick is less than swayed, angrily asserting that just because you put up a strange and interesting plant on display, people don't
suddenly. Excuse me, I couldn't help noticing that strange and interesting plant.
Oh, okay. The man inquires as to where Seymour found the peculiar plant. You see, he was doing his daily search for exotic plants at the local flower market when suddenly, a total solar eclipse spiced things up. He could have sworn the plant wasn't there before, but bought it anyway. The man is inspired to buy $100 worth of roses, and soon after, the store is inundated with customer after customer. Mr. Mushnick proposes a celebratory dinner, but Audrey declines. She has a date with her good-for-nothing boyfriend. Seymour is left at the shop to care for the weakened Audrey 2.
The Audrey 2 is not a healthy girl.
Strictly between us, neither is the Audrey 1.
He sinks to it in despair as nothing seems to work. Neither sunshine, nor water, nor miracle grow. That is, until Seymour accidentally cuts himself on a rose thorn. Audrey 2 begins to purse its lips and chops at the sight of Seymour's finger. He appeases it with a few drops of his tasty blood. Audrey 2 answers his prayers. Look at that thing grow. Seymour sits with Audrey 2 in the waiting room of a radio show, Weird World. They're shining the spotlight on interesting people and their wacky items. Audrey 2 takes interest in a particularly round behind. A comically short interview takes place as Audrey and Mr. Mushnick listen on. Audrey's arm is in a makeshift cast. As she leaves, 3 loitering girls confront her about her poor taste in men, suggesting she swap out for Seymour instead. She thinks it over at home.
I know Seymour's the greatest, but I'm dating a semi-sadist.
She even fantasizes about the easy, carefree life they could have. How adorable. Seymour is seen tirelessly feeding the voraciously hungry Audrey 2. It's now ballooned to the size of a person, and business is booming. Audrey suggests Seymour do something nice for himself, like buy new clothes, now that he's having so much success. She even offers to help him shop, but not tonight. She's got a date with that jerk. Oh, there he is. His name's Oren. What a bad boy. You know, he really picked the perfect profession for a guy that likes to cause pain. Later at night, Seymour hears ominous laughing outside before Oren literally flies in on his motorcycle. He torments Seymour on his way to pick up Audrey for their date. Before the madman drives off, he leaves Seymour a business card. Seymour seeks comfort from Audrey 2, who he now affectionately calls Tui. Just before he closes up for the night, Tui slumps over in need of nourishment, but Seymour has given all he has to give. Suddenly, Tui speaks.
Feed me, Carbon! Feed me now!
Tui comes to life, moving around like a person while begging Seymour for food. His distress grows as he learns he must feed it blood. Fresh blood. Human blood. Seymour is hesitant.
I don't know anyone who deserves to get chopped up and fed to a hungry plant.
So you do.
Seymour is quick to change his mind in light of the new revelation. We cut to Oren's dentist office as one inexplicably giddy patient anxiously awaits his turn to be tormented. Oren is dismayed to find that this patient is actually enjoying the torture session, so he demands he leaves immediately. Seymour is up next, having arrived during that session. Oren's got some serious steam to blow off. He prepares to inflict some pain on Seymour, taking out a clunky old dentist drill. He decides he wants to really savor this moment, so he dons a homemade contraption that lets him breathe in laughing gas. He begins to laugh hysterically as Seymour gets up and pulls a gun on him. Oren tries to turn off the gas, but ends up breaking the valve, leaving him to asphyxiate. Seymour carefully and quietly carries off Oren's corpse before chopping it up into delightful little chunks. Mr. Mushnick witnesses the butchering, and Tui enjoys the succulent meal. The next day, cops are seen questioning Audrey. She's in tears, so Seymour consoles her. Audrey is distraught, but recognizes that this was a good thing. A miracle, even. Seymour tells Audrey she deserves better, but she disagrees, citing her troubled past working the corners. Seymour unshackles her from her self-doubt. The past is the past, he says. They join forces in musical harmony before sharing a passionate kiss. Later at night, Seymour rests satisfied in bed. Mr. Mushnick abruptly emerges from the shadows, spooking Seymour. He reveals that he saw what happened to Oren and holds Seymour at gunpoint. They walk up the stairs on the way to the police as Tui declares it to be supper time.
When he's gone, the world will be yours.
Before exiting the store, Mr. Mushnick offers Seymour a ticket out of town if he just hands the plant over and teaches him how to care for it. Tui's mouth opens wide as Seymour backs Mr. Mushnick up closer and closer until... Chomp chomp. Tui swallows him up whole. Seymour becomes an overnight success, with businesses flocking at the opportunity to work with him. He's been offered lecturing tours, the front page of a magazine, and his very own TV show. Unfortunately for Seymour, the fame is suffocating. He can hardly enter the store these days. During the filming of a TV segment, Tui collapses from hunger. Of course, feeding the plant in front of all these people isn't exactly feasible, so Seymour kicks them out. Audrey follows Seymour into an alley where he's seen talking to himself about his heinous deeds. She's concerned about him. Seymour reassures her that he's okay and that they're gonna run away from all this craziness and build a beautiful life together. He asks her for her hand in marriage right then and there. She accepts. Later at night, Seymour packs his things and attempts to sneak out the shop. Tui awakens, begging to be fed, but Seymour refuses. He can no longer live with the guilt. Seymour compromises and heads to the deli to get some animal meat. After Seymour leaves, Tui gets an awfully bright idea. The plant latches onto the desk and pulls with all its might, reaching over to the register to snag a coin. It flashes a mischievous smile before dialing a number on the phone. Audrey picks up, initially mistaking it for Seymour. Tui reveals its identity as Audrey watches the plant laugh from across the street. Audrey walks her tasty self over to the shop and Tui snatches her up and takes a bite. Seymour dashes in and pulls her out, but she's been fatally wounded. They both run away outside and say their final words to each other. Audrey makes peace with her fate, concluding that she'll always be with Seymour by becoming part of the plant. Audrey dies, and Seymour carries her corpse to its final resting place, Tui's belly. She's slowly swallowed whole. A devastated Seymour runs out and climbs up to the top of the building to take his own life. A salesman appears behind him, revealing that he clipped off a part of Tui and grew it into a new plant. Him and his marketing team have packaged it and intend to sell it worldwide, with or without his participation. Realizing the disaster this could bring, Seymour declines and runs back to the shop. He confronts Tui, and a battle ensues as Tui emerges from its pot. Seymour aims and takes fire with a revolver to no effect. Tui and its offspring sing away as Seymour desperately tries to defeat the giant. But it's no use. Tui has become too powerful. It grabs Seymour and swallows him whole. He'll just burst out, right? Unfortunately, no. In the events following, a consumer frenzy ensues as hordes of customers flock to the stores to buy their very own Audrey 2s. You can imagine what follows. It's not long before the alien race of man-eating plants has taken over. They roam the streets, snatching up humans, and have even grown to the size of bridges. Humans are no match for the thorny foe, not even the ones watching this movie. Fun note, this is the original ending of the movie, but the theatrical release sees Seymour prevailing. He saves Audrey and electrocutes Tui to death. They live happily ever after, but a small spawn of Tui grows in their garden. Which ending do you prefer? Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Really helps us out.